Welcome back to the official Atari Games podcast. This is Jason here, joined again by Ethan Stearns, VP of Games. And joined, he's been on before. It's been a little while, but Remedy's Tadas.
It's been a minute. Hey.
I just blanked on your last name and I feel terrible about that, but you're the only Tadas I know.
Migauskas.
That's it. That makes it easier when you say it, because then I don't mess up the pronunciation. Well, welcome back.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We keep in touch. So Tadas is so we figured do something a little different today. So recently Alan Wake just came out. Congrats on the release.
Today.
Yeah, congratulations.
And
thank you.
So that comes out today at the time of this releasing and at the time of the recording. And it's getting phenomenal reviews. So congrats with that. I'm very excited to play it. Huge fan of the original. Ethan's a big fan of the original as well. And I thought, hey, let's do something a little different here. As you were the producer on the first 8 Recharge titles, you were the game designer on Caverns of Mars Recharged as well. And then you made the move to AAA at Remedy in Helsinki. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, let's do a little bit of a rigmarole here. We got some news, some latest happenings in Atari land here. A lot of release dates since we've last recorded have been announced. So big stuff coming. We have Roller Coaster Tycoon Adventures Deluxe. That's going to be out on Xbox, PS4, PS5, and Switch on November 1st. Berserk Recharged officially has its release date announced, and that's coming out November 9th on literally everything: Switch, Xbox One, Series X and S, PS4, PS5, VCS, PC through Epic and Steam.
It's not on mobile though, so not on everything.
That's true, not on mobile. That's right. That's a good point. Although if you remote play on Xbox, you can do that. And then
not currently playable in the space shuttle.
That's true too, unless you bring one of those consoles.
I guess that's true.
I think Stadia is also not a thing, right?
No, Stadia is not a thing anymore, unfortunately.
Okay,
RIP. RIP in peace. And then lastly, exciting release date announced by Night Dive, Star Wars Dark Forces coming out February 28th. So get excited for that. And
Sweet.
Last bit of fun news, and Tadas, this also kind of involves you, is that Amazon Prime Gaming has announced their free drop of games over the course of November. So that includes Centipede Recharged, Black Widow Recharged, and Caverns of Mars Recharged.
Let's go. Exciting
check
stuff.
That out. All the dates, you can look them up online. I didn't find it before this, so shame on me for failing there. And with that, let's move on and talk about stuff. I got a warm up question, and because we're talking Alan Wake 2, we got to talk about Remedy. So what I want to do, I want to go around and I want to know first Remedy game. Tadas, you're our guest. Why don't you start? First Remedy exposure game, whatever. Or maybe the first thing that hooked you onto Remedy, whatever you want.
I mean, I think most of the people that I've told to that I'm going to Remedy recognized only one game, and that was Max Payne.
Really?
Back in the day?
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody knows about Control, Quantum Break, even Alan Wake. Very few people know. But as soon as you bring up Max Payne, everybody is like, oh my God, I have played that back in the day. So this was also like my first real experience with Alan Wake, with Remedy. And it was just like a phenomenal experience. I still remember the bullet time where you just drop in through the door, guns blazing. That was a good time. Oh my God, I miss that game.
It was awesome. Ethan, what about you?
I mean, I'm trying to think like what are their first game. I mean, yeah, definitely Max Payne would be my first. I was trying to look. Death Rally, is that their first game?
Yeah,
that is indeed their first game. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I played this game. It looks kind of familiar. Although it reminds me, I don't know. Maybe I didn't play this game. Because it reminds me of Carmageddon, which was another favorite of mine back in the day. But yeah, probably Max Payne. And I think that I was first aware of the studio and their prowess, who they were after Alan Wake, which I've said, which you explained in the intro is one of my favorite games.
Sorry, I blew up your spot there.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, Max Payne for me, definitely the first time I had exposure to Remedy, and yeah, that game is like a revelation. And I actually was thinking about it, and that was like probably one of the original third person like games that really focused on cinematic narrative experience, like almost the
Really?
games that you often get at a PlayStation and that kind of stuff. Like I can't think of a game prior to Max Payne that tried to do the things
When did it come out?
that Max Payne did and those games are doing now. I mean, obviously cutscenes were told in those comics and whatnot, but really before that,
2001.
and let
I
alone who
mean, I
did it
think it's
better.
obvious looking back. It's like they've always had a really cinematic approach
Yeah,
to certain genres, and sometimes that's like crosses over dramatically. Like I think in like is it Quantum Break or what was the
yeah,
name of the
Yeah, Quantum Break had like a
where there
really
was
long.
like much more cinematic crossover, where there was like an actual television show and stuff.
yeah,
Um, but like even going back to Max Payne, it's like there were shooters in that in that time. Like those types of shooters were becoming very popular, but the motif of that noir kind of shooter, like detective narrative, applied on top of what was a popular game mechanic for shooters during that time is what kind of really made it unique. And I think looking back at that, you can see that continues to be kind of that combination of some sort of cinematic motif applied to, a in a genre of video game ends up kind of being what those games feel and look like.
yeah. So let's start there actually, and it's such a jarring difference. You look at working at the on the Recharge games and then going to Alan Wake 2. What in retrospect, like what was the overall experience like? What was it like jumping in at a high level on that kind of AAA narrative experience from the literally the most bite-sized type of arcade experience you could have?
Um, yeah, I mean, like, well, the experience was, I couldn't say that it's like so grandiosely different. I mean, all of the problems are just larger, but usually they're kind of managed the same from like a production standpoint. So like timelines and granularity of tasks and like reviews and etc. But in terms of what was on the Recharge series, it was like just on like a high speed formula race car, where here it's more like a cruise ship sailing through the sea. Which is it's a good analogy when you need to make a decision. Both of these things react quite differently. So yeah, I mean, it's been extremely fun. It's been very eye-opening, but it's also very humbling to know that like the things that I've used to work on is super super applicable at a AAA level as well. Even more so, I think, if the people who have worked only on AAA might never have like touched an area of game development to a degree, whereas working on the Recharge series, I literally did everything, like from all of the things I had some degree of ownership and at least had to have like a bit of knowledge. So that's like really really cool experience I had on the Recharge series.
Yeah, that's cool. So, but what about, and then I would imagine like, did you ever explain to somebody like, yeah, we released 8 games in
Yeah,
less than 2 years on every platform,
yeah. They
and
said I
just
was crazy, and they literally telling me that like, do not expect this from us. We will not go at the pace you have gone. Like, people do respect the hustle that we did, but they do say it's like it's really really fast. So it's like props to us, I guess, for actually pulling it off.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, well, oh man, I was trying to think what the next question I was going to ask was. I don't know, Ethan. Why don't you jump in here if you got anything? Well, I got it on my
Yeah,
thoughts.
I'm curious, Tadas, because like we've talked before, but I'm curious on your path to. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but like
No,
your
that's good.
path to where before you started working on the recharge games. Like,
Mm,
what was your path to that point? Like into the games industry, where did games start for you? How did you get to that point?
sure. I'm think I've told this story on one of the previous podcasts. I think the first one I was there, but I can tell it again because I really like the story. Originally, I was studying tourism and hotel management. And then as soon as I got my degree, I came back to my high school teacher, which we just to talk. Like I wasn't too excited about tourism at that point. I started noticing things and trends in that industry that weren't really exciting for me. And I came back to talk with my high school teacher, and like, yeah, we like laid it bare, both of us, that she's also like in a position that she would like to improve something. And eventually, she offered me to open up a letter that I wrote to myself in fifth grade to the future. And I opened the letter, and it was literally written, "I want to make games." And at that point, I was just sitting there like, holy crap, I want to make games. I still want to make games now. And that was kind of like the real pivotal point in my career when I really just like sat down and I decided, okay, this is the thing I want to do. What are the steps I need to do to reach this goal? So like, yeah, I started learning a little bit of programming. Like I had no idea what programming was in the first place. So I started with web development on a small scale, and yeah, realized that yeah, I'm not making games, I'm making websites, and it's very different. Eventually, like after like a small course on development, I started looking for a job, and an opportunity popped up to head into one of the Lithuanian studios as a QA engineer and a games tester. So that's where I kicked
The
it off.
classic entry into the games industry.
Yep,
Yep, we've mentioned
exactly.
it before. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, and that was also like a very, very good introduction to games development because like you do also everything. You need to talk with all of the departments, understand their workflow flows and what kind of things break on their side and how to fix that and who to report to. So that I did that for like a year and a half almost. And the studio was like really cool and they were growing, but they were a kids game studio, and I wanted to do something a bit bigger. So got the opportunity to hop in with SneakyBox. Initially, they were looking for a what was it? I think it was like a VR games salesman, which I had no idea what that means.
But
But
you
as
were
soon
like, I could do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like that was literally 2016. HTC Vive just came out, and I got it on like the one of the first batches. I was really excited about VR, and I wanted to do that. That's when the hype was biggest. So I thought, yeah, like yeah, sure, let's go. I want to do that. And yeah, eventually, as soon as I joined, I realized that like yeah, they don't really need a salesman; they need a producer. So started doing like production as well as like just contacting potential clients. And yeah, one thing led to another, and then I started taking on more and more responsibilities as a producer, and that's basically how I got here. Eventually, project after project, and yeah, and eventually made Jason.
So
How many projects do you think you worked on at SneakyBox during your time there?
I think I have counted that once, and that was around 30 projects.
Wow,
30. Wow.
In
amazing.
what was it? I think it's nearly 4 years. A lot of it is like it's a lot of it is really really small. A lot of it was kind of like small marketing games or like interactive experiences. And as a producer, you're like if you work on a small project and you have your processes in line, you really can be hands off and take up multiple projects at the same time.
Hmm.
So that was, I think at one point I was working on like 9 projects at once. So
You mentioned that thing about the VR salesperson and not knowing what it is. That's actually like when people are talking about trying to get into the industry and applying for jobs and that kind of stuff, or really in any scenario, not even just games. I'm like, look,
yeah,
if you want a job at a company or you want to try to do a thing and you're close enough, or you look at that and you're like, I could do it, just apply. You have nothing to lose. And that could
absolutely.
get you in and get you started in a place you want to inevitably be. So
Absolutely.
that's a good general lesson and proof that that is the case.
Yeah.
Um, What did you always want to get into AAA? Like, was that always one of the goals? I don't know if you specified in that
Kind
letter
of.
to yourself.
I mean, no, I haven't specified that at that time. I think I was maybe 12 or 11
That would
when
have
I
been
wrote
crazy
that.
if your 11-year-old was right. You want to work on 8 recharged games for Atari. You're like, oh my god, you want to?
The foresight. No,
Like
I mean,
that.
like,
It's a profit.
uh, I think it kind of like just naturally evolved with time. I think I came to SneakyBox with the intent to work on something bigger. Didn't realize how much like mobile stuff they were doing at that time. But I was very happy to be a part of the company's growth eventually when they turned to more of a porting studio, and that really gave like a lot of opportunities to work on like the real big games like the Recharge series, and to work on actually PC. So I think it's not necessarily the AAA that was attracting me. It was more like the PC scene, PC games.
Like premium stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that was kind of the thing I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's definitely relatable considering like so my 3-year anniversary at a my 6-year anniversary at Atari was like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Oh,
And
congratulations.
well,
why
I mean
didn't we
there's
didn't have a party?
for 6 years, that's hardly a milestone. It's just a thing. Also, what
Not
are
a
we gonna do?
milestone.
Virtual party. You could have sent me cookies. That how dare
I
you?
would have.
6 cookies. That's all I want. Yeah. So the first 3 years were all mobile, and the moment that new leadership came in and Wade became CEO, and it was like, nope, all premium PC consoles. There was like internal celebration for me. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the kind of stuff I want to do. Nothing against mobile games. I mean, I played some mobile games, but I mostly partake and have always been a fan. It's that kind of stuff that's brought me. That's maybe such a fan of this industry and
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
games themselves. So that's awesome. So I am kind of curious about this, kind of leaning into going into the your cruise ship analogy. What was the feeling going from basically a project where you have absolute ownership over
Hmm.
more or less, right? But you basically starts and ends with you as the producer
Hmm.
from the development side of things. We had Adam, of course, in the first 7 games. I mean, even you could focus more on like Caverns because you went from a game that you were like complete ownership of, and
Yeah.
Caverns was one that you wanted to do for a while, and then you
Yeah.
finally got to do it, and you were producer, game designer, all that stuff. You finally got your drum and bass soundtrack. You had all that stuff,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then
Exactly.
and then to go from that to being basically one part of this puzzle. What was that like?
Well, it's a learning experience for sure. It takes a bit of getting used to, but at the same time, it was very. Uh, I realized that I will need to become like a student again, because I'm operating on like absolutely another level. These people are like incredible professionals of their fields. They're like from all over the world. Like the talent here is just unbelievable. So yeah, I got a senior producer that I was under, and we were. And everything that he was talking about made complete sense to me, and it was very easy to trust him and just continue working with him. So there wasn't really any pushback from my side, to a degree where I would say like I am not enough in control. I still had like my area of ownership because the project is just massive and there's just not enough of us. So I still all had like a ton of things to do. But at the same time, I was working with people who are very production oriented, from both developers to producers. So everything was kind of like it was at some point it was kind of hard to adapt, but in the other stages it was like a well-oiled machine. Like we were making strides for sure with our team, and I think that's yeah. I don't know if that answers your question. It was kind of hard in the beginning, uh, and then I got used to it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Are there points, and obviously you can't get into, maybe you can't get into what specifically, but are there points in the game like that you can point to and be like, yep, I was able to put my stamp there. I was able to put my mark there.
Uh, yes, we have done a lot of narrative items, which are these notes you find throughout the game. And we've actually collected real handwriting from the company employees, and I have left some of my handwriting in some of these notes. So yeah,
That's
that's a
awesome.
sneak peek. Yeah. So
That's really cool.
if you're opening some of these like secret containers that house some loot for you during your play sessions, one of the notes might be coming from my side.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. So I'm gonna flip this question. So just keep this in mind. I'm gonna ask you one thing, and then I'm gonna ask you the exact opposite. Or I could just ask it all together. What's one thing you miss and one thing you don't miss about working on the Recharge games?
Well, one
And if one thing you don't miss is or one thing you don't miss is me, that's a perfectly acceptable answer.
No, 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 no. One thing I don't miss is just the speed that we had to operate in, and uh, it's very, it's quite just not enough time to actually explore, iterate, and try new things. Usually, you have to hit the ground running already. So that's something that's like I'm enjoying here, which is but a bit more laid back. There's still speed, of course, but it's also you have a lot more of trial and error, and you can fail a bit more easily. But what do I miss was also, I think, the speed and the the way at I think at it was at the eighth game at the caverns when the team really like started to click together after all this time, and we realized like holy crap, we're making things so fast and they're actually turning out good, and it's just like it was exciting. You're basically in a constant game jam where just like with your homies trying out stuff, like messing around, joking around. You get tired, but at the end of the day you actually do make cool stuff. So yeah, I think both of
Totally.
these things.
I have a complete non sequitur question. So, Ethan, if you want to jump in and ask a game related question, then why don't you do that? All right, that's my non sequitur.
Go on, go
All
for
right,
it.
non sequitur away. Here's the real question. Moving from Kaunas to Helsinki,
Yeah.
how was that? What do you
Oh,
what do you miss? What do you like? Go into all the details. I want to know.
oh,
I've only been
that's
to one, and it's not
yeah.
Helsinki.
I mean, eventually it will be Helsinki too.
Eventually, it will be Helsinki. I owe you a
Yeah,
visit. Yes.
yeah. Kaunas, a beautiful place, a small but very wholesome town in the middle of Lithuania. The beer is cheap and the friends are plenty. Here, the beer is very expensive, very pricey, but uh, the city is massive. Is an actual metropolitan city, which I haven't really like experienced firsthand. Being actually um, a tenant, not a tenant, like a person who lives in that city. Like I have visited metropolitan cities, but I haven't lived there, which is like a different experience. I fell in love with Finland's public transport system. It's incredible. You buy one ticket, you can go anywhere with any type of public transportation: trains, trams, metros, buses. Yeah, you name it, basically. So I really, really enjoyed that. And what else? What else? There's a lot of culture in Helsinki. There's a lot of culture in Kaunas as well, but I don't think I have experienced it that much as I have like delved in here in Finland, which was really cool. Um,
Cool. Well,
yeah,
so let's get back to let's talk a little bit dive into a little bit more about Alan Wake and so I guess my most the highest question on my list is about Alan Wake 2. When you're jumping in, did you know one, did you know when you were about to work for Remedy that you were going to be working on Alan Wake 2? And the
Hmm.
second thing is, what was your like, did you have any or much experience with Alan Wake the original?
Yeah.
Because it is
Actually,
more of a cult
yeah, yeah, yeah.
classic.
I I did know what project I'll be working on. I knew that I'll be going to Alan Wake 2, but I had no idea what it was. I haven't played the first one at that point. Like, and as soon as I actually got in contact with the people at Remedy, I started to play that game, and like, oh my god, I have missed this. And then I think I realized that some like there was a ton of games coming out at the same time, and they were just like it overshadowed a bit
Yeah.
Alan Wake at the time. So yeah, probably played something else at the time. But yeah, Alan Wake was crazy. Like as soon as I finished it, I really just realized that holy crap, I'm gonna be working on such a special game, and yeah, I was very excited.
So then, how is the so now that you look back and the game is shipped, I guess how would you compare the second one to the first one? As someone who literally just played the first one, I don't know, it couldn't have been even a year ago at this point, right?
Mm, yeah.
And now comparing it to Alan Wake 2, like what should people expect from
Yeah, it's
should you have to play? Do people need to play the first one? Obviously, I've played it. Ethan's played it. Now, obviously,
yeah.
you've played it. But do people need to play the first one to play the second one?
Um, so the difference is quite big. The first one is a lot faster and a lot more action packed. Second one is a survival horror game. So if you have played Resident Evil type games, this is very much in that ballpark where it's a lot more slower, more methodical, a bit more scary, super atmospheric. The atmosphere oozes through everything Remedy does, so it's just beautiful. I love it. Um, and what was the second part of the question? Sorry.
Oh, I don't even remember. I do want to lean in on the point that you made about this being scary. So I keep hearing I love the original Alan Wake. I've played
Mm,
every Remedy game since Max Payne.
yeah,
And I loved them all. I played through Control twice. I platinumed it the second time I played it on PS5. That's one of my favorite games that come out in the last few years.
sweet.
It's incredible, and I just want. And then when Alan Wake 2 comes out, I'm like, wow, well that was like one of my favorites. I bought that day one, and I even have the collector's edition somewhere around here. And that it was just awesome. It was an amazing experience. Just that last line of the game still hits. I only kind of know what it means, but that's fine. That's like typical Remedy stuff. But then
Yeah,
I hear this game's coming out and they say survival horror. And I used to be all about horror games. But
yeah,
now I'm a bit of a scaredy cat when it comes to horror games. Amnesia kind of broke me. And like
yeah,
I haven't played Resident Evil 7 or Village, and I'm maybe gonna play Dead Space remake. We'll see. But I used to love those games. Used to love that. All right, what should be my expectations? Am I gonna be freaked out? Am I gonna be too scared to play this game? Do I
no,
need to play this with the lights on? What should I expect as
I
a
do
scaredy
not
cat?
think that you will be freaked out that much.
Okay.
And I remember the first question, which was, "Do you need to play Alan Wake One?" I think the beautiful thing about Alan Wake Two is the perspective of the detective Saga Anderson, who's a newcomer to Bright Falls and this whole mystery that's unraveling in front of her, and she's trying to piece together what's actually happened before, at the same time as you are as a fresh player. But at the same time, it does like boost the experience by multiple degrees if you have played the first one, because there's heavy references to Control and to Alan Wake One, which was very much intended, I guess, to do that. So I don't think you would be scared. I think it's creepy, but it's not scary.
Okay.
Like it's atmospheric horror.
So it is kind of like the Control vibe. Control had
Yeah.
those spooky vibes at times, but
Yes. Yeah.
never
Exactly.
never at the point that made me want to stop playing. Be like, I can't do this anymore. No, it was always good.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah. You
yeah, I
nailed it.
can't. Should I? Okay, now I'm at an impasse because I just finished Lies of P, and I
Okay.
was gonna play Spider-Man 2 next. So now do I play Spider-Man 2 or Alan Wake 2? Which two do I play first?
Oh, come on. It's an easy decision. You know,
Yeah, that's
you
an
know.
easy decision.
Right, that's an
Um,
easy decision. We're all thinking the same thing, so we're not even gonna say it.
yeah. Um, what platforms do I play it on?
What platform should you play on? I mean, PS5 is great, but if you have a beefy PC, that's an experience probably in of itself. Like the technical prowess of some of our engineers and the things that they pulled off. If your computer is able to run it, it's an experience in of itself. Like this game is beautiful, and I've never seen anything like it before. So, but I think playing on a PS5 is also very much uh, as enjoyable as playing on a high end PC as well.
What do we need? What do I need for? Do I need like a 4090 with like ray tracing in order to play it in its beefy settings?
Uh, that would
Probably.
be advised. I mean, the 40 series is probably the way to go with this game, especially with the Nvidia tech. A lot of Nvidia tech was kind of showcased with Alan Wake. Actually, we were um, showcasing a lot of the I think ray tracing technologies to a degree.
They were
I
talking about path tracing as
All
well.
right,
I don't
Yeah,
really know what
I'm
that
gonna go
means.
shopping.
if I don't really remember, I don't want to talk about this out of my hat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
sure.
sure.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I guess you
Um,
guys have like all these crazy over the top, like the beefiest of PCs to actually push this thing to the max.
I
but
mean, we
I've
have
been like
everything.
needing a new graphics card anyway, so take a look.
Maybe that's a sign.
There you go.
So
Make
yeah,
that
I'm still
happen.
running a 1080 Ti on my main like operating PC, and it runs like amazing.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
I have a 30 series in my like capture machine, and I feel like it doesn't operate as well.
yeah. I mean, if you're okay playing with less than 60, I think you're gonna have a great time anyway. The
Mm.
consoles do 30, to my knowledge.
Okay,
So yeah,
so not a sponsor, but on Newegg you can buy an MSI RTX 4080, and it comes with Alan Wake too.
there you
Look
go.
at that.
Only $1,000.
Nice.
Oh, well, that's yeah, but you save this $70 on the game,
Yeah,
so
so
it's
you're
more like
basically
nine
making
thirty.
money. You're kind of
Yeah,
making money at that
you're
point.
literally investing in future.
You'd be a fool not to get
I've
that. You
never
should just buy that right now. Add to cart.
I
Go
might
get it.
actually. I don't know if it'll fit in my computer.
So
Anyways, that's a problem for another day.
yeah,
Yeah.
Tadas, what's any like open ended things you want to talk about, like from your experience, or anything you want to tell us about the game that you're like, man, this thing's cool, or this is a great experience, this is a fun moment, anything like that that didn't ask about.
Yeah.
Kind of jumped around here.
Yeah. It's cool. I mean, like I've really enjoyed the team. I really enjoyed the people with like so much experience, and like you talk to this person like, holy crap, he worked on that game, I played it before, and like, holy shit, you're from this company, no way. And like I've been like nerding out about just people and where they're from and what they have done before so much in this studio. It's unbelievable. And yeah, I haven't even met everybody still, so it's a large
I
studio.
I do need to. This is an important question as well, which is, as someone who's also, you played Max Payne back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever get used to Sam Lake not sounding like Max Payne?
No, it's uncanny for me. I don't know. He's a he's a cool guy. Like he literally yesterday he came over to the room where we were staying before, and we just had a small drink, a mini celebration. We were watching reviews, and he was just like so down to earth, and just like hearing seeing his face in the game and hearing that voice is just like a bit uncanny to me. But I think that's still a great thing anyway.
Yeah, you expect the Max Payne voice. That's why, like, if I'm ever listening to an interview or and it's on video, it's like I gotta close my eyes. I can't. It's just
I
it's so
mean,
wild stuff.
play the game.
I'm I will.
There's gonna be interesting stuff there.
Awesome. I'm out of questions. Ethan, what do you got before we go to the end bit here?
Well, I feel like this is a little out of order. Maybe something that should have been asked in the beginning. Um,
It's no rules.
but like, I'm interested to hear, Tadas, what for you to explain what is a producer? What does a game producer do? Because I mean, I'm sure you explain that to people sometimes when you talk to new people. They're like, "Oh, I work in games," and they're like, "Oh, this happens to me. I'm sure it happens to you, Jason." You try to
Hmm.
Oh
explain
yeah.
like what it
So
is you
you
do, and I
code?
think people
So you're a
from the
coder? No.
outside in look at how the game industry works and doesn't necessarily understand all the different pieces and the different roles. And I think this kind of goes back to what you were talking about the difference between your, um, what you do, what you were doing at SneakyBox as a producer. I'm just interested to hear from at SneakyBox and on the Recharge games, like what does
Hmm.
a producer do?
Yeah. Um, well, I guess it really depends on a lot of factors, both the studio, both the project, and the environment you're in, and the needs of the company and the project itself. Um, but a producer does a lot of things, like, and it depends. Like, if you're more of a organizational oriented producers, you're just mainly trying to optimize work to be as efficient as possible. If you're more on the creative side, there is a possibility to like nudge the team to a creative direction one way or another. But yeah, mostly what I did was basically the optimization of pipelines and work lines and streamlining everything. So that was basically what I did, and I'm still doing. Um, yeah, a lot of communication with external people, uh, task management, task tracking, documenting, organizing reviews, meetings, trying to get multiple different teams who are rarely communicating to communicate more, and being the bearer of information, basically. So those
Across
are
all
the.
these different, I mean, because sometimes I think, I mean, some studios are different, right? Some studios, single people deal with different skill sets. Like there's someone who's an artist engineer, or someone's an animator and also a tech artist or a VFX artist, and sometimes people cross over. But at larger studios and in most places, those are all individual skill sets, and the producers tend to be that nexus point in between them to
Hmm.
make sure as all these individual pieces of the machine are working, that producer is making sure that everyone is running at the same speed. Everyone's on the same train,
Yeah,
moving forward. Because I
yeah,
think it's an interesting part of our process. I oftentimes explain to people, we're making software, and fans in gaming and stuff. I think they know that, but it's like you're making a complicated piece of technology and you're making art at the same time,
yes,
and every time you make a game, it's like a new piece of technology and it's a new piece of art.
yep,
And those two things are in historically not always the easiest thing to just pump out all the time. And so the producer is really at the nexus of trying to bring all that stuff together into and move the train down the train tracks to its eventual, um my metaphor is falling apart, choo choo
destination.
station.
Yeah.
There you go. The choo choo station.
Yeah, absolutely, and you nailed it. Like, that's literally a lot of the things that I used to do at SneakyBox, especially at a smaller studio where you need to know everybody and you need everybody to be aligned on the same goal and vision and try to be on track. At a larger studio, that is definitely something I do a bit less. Due to each team having their own producer who's a bit more specialized in their area of ownership. That's not always the case. That's definitely not the case for me. I'm currently working with another team after Alan Wake shipped, and yeah, they're uh, the things they're doing are very new to me. I am learning as I go, but I'm also bringing back very good processes from Alan Wake to the current thing. And don't even ask. I won't say what I'm working on next.
I wasn't gonna ask.
I was.
Jason probably would ask. Jason's always probing. He's a prober of information.
I would only
I
ask as a.
respect the
I would
man.
only ask as a fan, but at this
Well,
point,
yeah,
I
I'm a
mean,
fan too. You think I'm not
I
a
mean,
fan?
I'm not going to ask, but everything Remedy's announced has already excited me. And they announced 2 DLCs already going to come for Alan Wake 2. It's like great. So it's like, hey, here's this awesome game. Oh, by the way, we're going to give you more of this awesome game. They announced I think they're working on the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes or something like that. Like they've
You're
announced all
you're
this
you're like
stuff.
trying to
So
back
I'm
your
like,
way into the question here.
so I'm
It's kind
just
of
saying, like,
it's
it's
awkward.
like pick one of the awesome things announced or another awesome thing that's already been announced. Like they've
I
got to
heard
show
that
their
they're
cards,
they're
and I'm not going to ask any further.
revamping. I heard they're revamping the Bubble Bobble or something like that, and they're moving away from the real deep tone video games and going much more bubblegum casual gaming, and that's why they brought Tadas over.
I'm
Nailed it.
excited. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm all
Exposed.
about that. Cool, good stuff. All right, well, let's we kind of come to the end here. I always like to end by talking about what we're currently playing. I'm interested to know, Tadas, what are you playing, and if you even have time, like
Oh,
as you've rounded the corner, like do you have an enormous backlog following the run up to release here, or so what are you playing,
yeah.
or if you're not playing anything, what's top of the list to play?
Yeah. I mean, I'm playing a lot of things actually. I've dropped my other hobbies for a bit to play a bit more. I was trying to learn a bit more of Unreal Engine and just
Okay.
come back to game development as an actual developer
Hmm.
and do some creative stuff myself. But I put that on the back burner and started playing a lot of games. One thing I really enjoyed was, and that's the game I was waiting for quite a while now. It's called Witchfire. It's
Yeah.
basically a fast-paced RPG, first-person shooter. They have done a tremendous job about like the core gameplay loop. It's so good, like it's unbelievable what they pulled off. I'm so excited to play more of that, and I've beat everything that is available to that because it came out as an early access game. Beside that, I'm playing a bit more, a bit of Remnant 2. I'm trying to close out Baldur's Gate 3. I'm sitting on Death Stranding for a while now. I need to come back to that game eventually. I have heard only good things about that game. And of course, I've got my Alan Wake 2 code today, which is exciting stuff. I have played it through multiple times as just a curiosity and a test that I had to do. But yeah, it's finally
Nice.
out, fully polished.
Very cool. It's awesome that you mentioned Witchfire, and I'm happy to hear because I haven't talked to anybody who's played it yet, but I am very excited to check it out because it also is one of my favorite reveal trailers of all
Hmm.
time because it's like from the it starts off and it's just somebody walking around. You're like, oh, this is some sort of walking sim, and it's like from the makers of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. You're like, of course, and then a few frames later, and from Painkiller, and you're like,
Yeah, and
yeah, here we go.
Bulletstorm.
This is
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, it's one of the best. One of the best reveal trailers ever.
yeah,
If you know any of those references, it's great.
yeah. I think Max Payne and Painkiller are two of the games from like the same generation, and they both of them have like very specific part in my heart
Mm,
and my enjoyer of games from
yeah.
the past. So yeah,
Well, Painkiller, I just remember as like one of those games that elevated that Serious Sam formula, which was another great. But
yeah.
yeah, it was awesome, man. Good stuff. Ethan, what about you?
I'm gonna have to
What are you
pick this
playing?
up. I'm just looking at it right now. I'm still trying. I'm trying to play more games. I finished Cocoon, which I
Yes.
liked a lot. I think there was a lot of interesting finesse in that game. It was very simple. And then at the end, I felt like the end didn't climax as much as I was hoping it would. But I felt like that was a really cool little puzzle game. I'm playing Super Mario Wonder. I picked that up a couple days ago, and that's the thing is, it's hard for me to play games in my living room because if I'll start to play them, and then my kids will come in, it's like, "What's this? Give me the controller. I want to play." And then so me playing Mario Wonder quickly turned into my like son just playing it while I made dinner, and I watched him play it. So We'll see how well that goes. I'm hoping
But
to
it's
just
two
like.
players. You could have played together.
No,
It's
it's
four
not
players.
really. It's not really though. Like when you play 2 player, it's not that. That's not a fun experience. I'm not. I'm not a fan.
I kind of agree.
So been playing that. I still play Tarkov like every
Sweet.
day. It's gonna wipe soon, so excited about that. But also need to get away from that game.
I have recovered from that game. It was hard, but yeah.
Yeah, I keep thinking that that you know certain games gonna take me off of it. Like Starfield, I thought Starfield was gonna take me off. I'm still kind of playing Starfield. Like I pop in and play a little bit of it. Um, but and I downloaded Forza Motorsport to try to give that a whirl. Because I that's another genre of games that I always want to like. I have such fond memories of getting very deep into driving
Mm,
sim games. And I'll give a game like this like a couple 3 hours, or a couple 2 or 3 hours, and then if it doesn't hook me, and then I like leave it. So we'll see. It'll probably just be another one of those. So yeah, that's kind. And then plus I'm playing a bunch of our games.
Yeah.
We have some
sweet.
games we haven't announced yet that are in pinnacle milestones that I'm playing large amounts of, and it takes up time as well.
Yeah. Cool
Sweet.
stuff. And as for me, I just finished Lies of P,
Oh,
and um, it was amazing. I started playing Starfield, and I put about maybe 4 hours into it, and I was just like, I don't know if it's really grabbed me the way I was hoping it would. And I was like, let me just play some start. Let me just check out this Lies of P game. I never actually finished a like a Soulsborne game. I played a lot of Dark Souls Remastered when it came to Switch and liked it a lot, but then got to one boss and I'm like, nope, I think I'm good here, just because of some of the things that they put against you. It's like, yeah, now you have this thing where you only have half your health back, so it becomes incredibly difficult. It's like, no, I think it's at its best when it's like, here's a short path to get to the boss, and then I can keep trying over and over and over again until I beat them. That I'm cool with. Lies of P. Now I haven't. I also only played a little bit of Bloodborne, like literally no more than an hour of that game. I missed the boat when it first came out and came to it, I think, too late. But so if they ever remaster it, I'll definitely go back and check it out. But man, Lies of P, I just said, all right, let me just check it out. You know, Spider-Man's coming out, so I'll just check it out, play for a few hours, and then probably never think about it again. And wow, did this thing grab me. Like I all I wanted to do was play this game. I finally beat it this morning, actually. And
that's so
man,
cool.
it was it was a phenomenal experience. As my first full Soulsborne experience, I get it. I love the vibes. I love the story. I like what they did with the Pinocchio stuff. I love what they're gonna do. Like at the ending, the post credits ending
Mm,
teaser is one of the all time great.
okay.
So don't spoil it for yourself. You're gonna play the game, but it's really really awesome. And a lot of people hype this up. I'm like, man, they're blowing out of proportion. But man, once I checked it out, I was like, nope, they were right. So I have no problem hyping it up here as well because yes, you also will be blown away. And even when
Sweet.
it started, I'm like, what? What? This is just some nonsense. And then I was like, oh, and it was great. It
Yeah,
was really
yeah,
good stuff. So Liza P, if you have any interest in the genre, hell, if you don't have interest in the genre, you have Game Pass, just give it a shot like I did, and it might stick with you because wow, is this game something special? And I think that everybody making these game of the year lists, I think this is going to be one of those sleepers that creeps up there and is gonna because it's so good, even in a year of greats, and that includes of course the greats like Alan Wake 2, which is next on my list. So I'm very excited to check that out.
sweet.
Um, and that's available now. So you can check out Alan Wake 2. And of course, we got all the Atari stuff that I mentioned early on again. So, be on the lookout for that as well. But Tadas, thank you so much for joining.
It's been a pleasure.
Really, really appreciate it. And congrats again on the release. Um, where can people find you? Do you want people to find you?
Uh,
Wandering the streets of Helsinki.
Wandering the streets of Helsinki for sure. Yeah, I mean, just I guess LinkedIn would probably be the best place for professional stuff. Other than that, I'm not really making content whatsoever. But if you do type in Tiandao, you might find me somewhere. Just
There you
not
go.
nudge, nudge.
Lurking discords.
Yeah.
Ethan, where can people find you?
I'm on the internet as Edog Lost, EDOGLOST on Twitter.
slash X.
Yeah. Yeah, you can find me around.
Right on. And you can
Or
find
in
me
the
at
Atari Discord. Join the Atari Discord, and I'm in there constantly talking to the folk, to my
That's right.
community.
Yeah, join the Atari Discord as well. You'll find a link for that in the show description as usual, and you can follow me on Twitter /X at Jays of Doom. So hit me up, and as always, if you have any feedback about the podcast or anything like that, feel free to reach out. Let me know what you think. Put those comments in the YouTube videos. I see them. I'm out there. I'm lurking. Even if I don't respond, I see what you're saying. So keep saying the good stuff and say more bad stuff so we can fix things and make this better. But don't be mean about it. That's it. Be constructive. All right. Well, thanks again, Tadas. You got some celebrating to do, so do that. And Ethan and I got some working to do, so we'll do that.
We do.
So, all right. Till
All
next
right.
time. Thanks
Take
for
care,
listening.
guys.